This is the week when the Flushing line takes you to the mecca of New York sports. Get off the 7 train, you got your choice. Right for tennis, left for baseball. Go left, go left. Mets open a weekend series against the Braves. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. Friday Night Baseball on SNY is presented by Time Warner Cable. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a 6-game homestand with the first of 3 against the Atlanta Braves. And that means the final trip to New York for the 40-year-old superstar Chipper Jones, who began tormenting the Mets in 1995 and hasn't let up much over the last decade and a half.
Well, he'll always be remembered in Met history. He and Mike Piazza, those years with Bobby Valentine as manager, and all those battles down the stretch, all the big hits by Mike Piazza, all the big hits by Chipper Jones at 49 home runs, just second to Willie Stargell's 60. He's just a lifetime 304 hitter, hitting 304 from both sides of the plate, 468 home runs, over 1,600 RBIs, 8-time All-Star. And what more can you say about him? All good things have to come to an end, I guess, and he's had a great ride, his 19th season as an Atlanta Brave, to play your whole career in a same uniform. Just a great Hall of Fame career.
And, of course, because of what he's done against the Mets, especially big spots, he's had a special relationship with the New York fans.
Well, of course he did. He named his son Shea after Shea Stadium. And even more importantly, I think that, Chipper Jones is one of those rare players that has been a champion on one team his entire career and a third baseman. Oh, I wonder who comes to mind for the Mets. It's going to be interesting how David's career maps out here in New York.
On the mound tonight for the Mets is Jonathan Neese, and John has been a model of consistency over the last couple of months.
You know what I love about John Neese now? He's going deep into games. He is performing at such a high level, and I think the one thing about John is that he stopped those big innings. Now, he gave up runs in consecutive innings, 3 of them, to get the loss against Philly, but to me, this is such an improvement year for John despite the record.
On the mound for the Braves tonight, last time we saw him, he was the best pitcher on earth. That was Paul Maholm, who shut the Mets out last month here at Citi Field.
Well, the thing about Paul Maholm is he's a control guy. He's a guy who likes to keep the ball low in the strike zone. I think the Mets were very aggressive against him last time. That's why he got that shutout in only 95 pitches.
So it's the Mets and the Braves as Chipper begins his final weekend as an active player in New York. Mets and Braves, all the action tonight right here on SNY. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By Geico. By Lexus. By AT&T, Rethink Possible. And by New York Community Bank. The Mets' 50th anniversary collector's set is a stunning 10-DVD celebration of Mets history, World Series films, season highlights, and celebrated games. Order your 10-DVD anniversary gift set at Mets.com. Here's your Modell's Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Fox has the reins tomorrow afternoon. We're back with you on Sunday for the final game of the series. And then the Nats come to town. Wednesday will be Steven Strasburg's last start of the year. It'll be Matt Harvey's second to last start of the year as the two young pitchers go head to head. John Neese getting ready for his start, his 27th of the year. Mets will try and have some better luck against Paul Maholm than they did last time around. Mets and Braves first pitch coming up from Citi Field. Is brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Visit the concession stands behind sections 137 and 431 at Citi Field to try the flamethrower tenders and the Chipotle chicken sandwich. Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. Here's your Hyundai starting lineup for the Braves tonight. Chipper Jones in there, looking for his 50th career home run against the Mets in his final weekend in New York. The Braves have won their last two games by 1-0 scores, but their offense has really struggled over the last 3 weeks as they try and hang on to the #1 wild card spot.
Well, Jonathan Neese, if you take the axiom in pitching of working quickly, throwing strikes, you know, he has done all of those this year. 16 straight starts now of 6 innings plus and hasn't walked more than 2, throwing strikes each and every time out.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense and Daniel Murphy. Tell you what, if you would have started the season and said Daniel Murphy would have made only 14 errors at second base, you'd have said you'd take it. I tell you what, he's done a terrific job over there at second. Great improvement from what we saw in the beginning at spring training. Bay with the left-hander gets another start out in left. Torres has now been playing pretty much every day in center field.
Michael Bourne leads things off for the Braves, who start the night 7.5 games behind Washington in the National League East and 3.5 games up on the competition in the wild card. And the first pitch of the night from John Neese is out of the strike zone for ball one. Bourne hitting at .283, but since the 17th of July, just .228 as he takes a strike, and it's 1-1.
Well, defensively, we just saw that Murphy playing halfway. Usually he's playing out in the outfield, but with the bunt possibility, has to play in the dirt.
And the left-hander on the mound with the bunt on his side of the infield in order.
Good call.
And also Torres, who likes to play very shallow in center field.
And of course,
is shallow.
And of course, the other piece with Bourne is if you play on the outfield grass and he hits a routine ground ball, he's going to beat it out. Yeah. So Bourne, fourth in the National League in base hits with 158, leading the league in steals, trying to do that for the fourth straight year. 1-2 from Neese, and a late swing foul, 1-2. Reed Johnson to follow, and then Chipper Jones for the Braves to begin the night 18 games over 500. They come off a series against Colorado in which they won 1-0 each of the last 2 days, each time on an unearned run. And yesterday, in ridiculous fashion, the only run of the game scoring when the pitcher for the Rockies, Jhoulys Chacín, failed to catch a throw back from the catcher, and the only run scored from third.
The most simplest of tasks.
A very alert, not fleet of foot Juan Francisco was the base runner. He was very alert and scored.
So the Braves, who were listening to a lot of conversation about another imminent collapse just a few days ago, they lost the first 2 games of their series with the Phillies at home over the weekend. And then Chipper Jones capped a 5-run rally in the 9th, hit a walk-off home run on Sunday. Then they won 3 out of 4 from Colorado, and all of a sudden things were a little brighter for the Braves.
Well, they've been struggling offensively, and they collapsed last year too, you know, offensively. Pitching is a strength.
You know, think about it. It's all perspective. I was telling their announcer, Chip Carey, if you hadn't had last year and the last 2 days happened, you'd say, what? Boy, this is our year. Everything's coming our way.
8th pitch of this opening at bat from Neese to Bourne, and he lifts one to left field, chasing Jason Bay back a few strides. And Bay's got it for the first out of the night. So 1 out and nobody on. Here's your umpiring crew, Jerry Davis. The crew chief has the balls and strikes. Rookie umpire Manny Gonzalez, a fill-in at first base with Greg Gibson and Phil Cuzzi, who have had their moments over the last couple of years in games involving the Mets.
Mets have seen 4 rookie umpires in the last 2 series.
They had Toby Basner that first game in St. Louis, who looked awfully good, and then Dave Rackley and Corey Blazer the last 2, and now Manny Gonzalez will have to play tomorrow. Here's Reed Johnson, who came over from the Cubs in a deadline deal at the end of July, and who always hits left-handers well.
He's always been a thorn in the Mets side. He's always in the middle of things.
Santana killer.
And he's done well against Neese as well. 5 for 9 against John, and he lifts this one to shallow left. The ball carried better than I thought.
He just got under it. He just missed it.
And Bay grabs it for the second out.
This is a fastball around mid-thigh over the middle. Want to come inside. He got it inside, a little cutter, but he just turned on it.
One thing you notice today that you don't never see at Citi Field. A lot of home runs being hit.
Chipper Jones, who was recognized before the game tonight. They showed a video of him being presented with a piece of artwork before the game by Mets COO Jeff Wilpon, and he got a very nice hand from the relatively small crowd here at Citi Field before the game tonight. It's a fascinating relationship that Chipper has with the Met fan. It all kind of began back in 1999 when he won his MVP, and he pretty much solidified that MVP with an incredible series against the Mets in Atlanta, where he had 4 home runs in 3 games and hit the game winner in every contest. And the next series when the Braves came here is when the Larry chants started, and ever since he has had I don't know how you'd exactly characterize it, but he's like the visiting hero rather than the visiting villain.
Well, their fans are only going to really pay extra attention, and there's the numbers right there as far as his numbers against the Mets, but the fans are always going to get on the star player. It was quite a competition the Braves had with the Mets back there in the 90s and 2000s.
Cedeno slides over in front of the grounder and throws out Chipper to end the inning. So Nice with a spotless opening inning. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first against Paul Maholm with no score. Getting the day off today, and Terry Collins says he may get the day off tomorrow as well, as he's worn down late in the year. So Ronnie Cedeno gets the start at shortstop. Kelly Shopik got back in there behind the plate after Josh Tolley caught the last game on Wednesday.
Well, 7th start for Paul Maholm with the Atlanta Braves, and he's 5-1 against the NL East this year.
Cedeno leads off and takes a strike. Maholm would have been the losing pitcher Sunday had the Braves not bailed him out. He lasted just 2 innings against the Phillies and gave up 7 runs. And Cedeno takes inside. Ronnie hitting .321 against lefties this year and gets the leadoff spot tonight with Murphy and Wright to follow.
And the Mets have had their issues against left-handers this year, only 19-30 on the season.
Got to be the most pronounced looking at the dugout by Maholm that you'll ever see by a left-hander. He's almost turned 45 degrees.
Kind of shoves it, doesn't he, Ronnie?
Yeah.
He rushes everything the last minute, a big shove.
Well, the Braves, who struggled with their pitching the first half of the year, have the best team ERA since the All-Star break. The addition of Maholm has helped. The emergence of Chris Medlin, who has just been out of this world and pitches tomorrow's game, has certainly helped Roger McDowell's crew as well. And Cedeno takes just inside in a full count. Jerry Davis traditionally has one of the smaller strike zones among major league umpires.
He's one of the few that going into game, I'd say contact, baby. Just let him hit it. Keep it down. Hopefully get some ground balls.
3-2 for Maholm, and Cedeno just got a piece of that to stay alive.
We'll take a look at the Coors Light Bravo defense. Chipper Jones, of course, all those games against the Mets. That's what happens when you're in division. 19 years in the big leagues. Reed Johnson only his 9th start out in left. Prado's the big guy right there. Only his 5th start at shortstop.
And Cedeno's on with a leadoff walk. So Maholm, who did not walk a single batter in his complete game shutout here at Citi Field 4 weeks ago, walks the first man to face him tonight. And now Daniel Murphy, who really perked up on that last road trip. He's got an 8-game hitting streak going now. Murphy at .289 for the year.
It's been a real kind of a unique year for Daniel. You know, a new position, second base. Daniel's been far more streaky this year than he has been in the past.
And this is a lefty he has handled. He's 6 for 9 in his career against Mahalam. David Wright on deck. Scott Hairston behind him as the Mets try and get off to a fast start in this series, something they have not done recently here at Citi Field. In fact, the Mets have lost the first game of each of their last 7 series at home. The longest such streak since 1991, when they set a franchise record, losing the first game of 11 straight series. You remember 91?
Begging them to get me out of here.
I remember 91.
Yeah?
That was my first year in repose.
Repose?
Roger Repose?
I was in retirement.
So was I.
Here's the slider from Mahalam, and he gets ahead on Murphy, 1-2.
It's worse if you're retired and you're still in uniform. That's what let me tell you.
You weren't retired, you were being retired.
I was. Put out the pasture.
Well, at least you were here, not in Cleveland.
Line center field, base hit for Murphy, and the Mets have the first 2 men on. Cedeno takes a turn and holds at second, so Murphy has a 9-game hitting streak, and he's now 7 for 10 against Mahalam.
Well, just not coming inside. That's not a good pitch ahead in the count. That's up. Oh, way too much plate. Stinker.
In his last start against Philadelphia Phillies, he gave up 3 big 0-2 head in the count hits. 1 big one to Ryan Howard, who cleared the bases with a ringing double.
So the Mets trying to jump on Mahalam early. Here's David Wright, who had a couple of hits in his last game on Tuesday and then had a day off on Wednesday. So he's had 2 days off with the off day yesterday. And generally, when David has had days off, he responds big the next game. First pitch swinging, drives one to center, but Bourne moves over and grabs it. Cedeno tags at second. He'll go to third. So the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Nice base running by Cedeno.
I love that swing by Wright. That swing is right on time. Pull it to center field.
Fly ball, pick it up. Realizes it's going to be caught and in position to score and also tag up.
So now Scott Hairston will try and get the run home. This is the Mets' 138th game of the year. Hairston is starting his 68th, just fewer than half, which when the year began, I don't think that was in the game plan for the Mets. But Hairston has played so well, and particularly hit lefties so well, he has earned more playing time.
Oh, an appeal play, Gary.
Well, we've seen that recently, haven't we? This one not successful. Cedeno not deemed to have left early. Greg Gibson, the second base umpire, with the call. Because Freddie Gonzalez was watching Mike Matheny's move from the other day. Who was the guy in the batting cage this time? It wasn't Beltran.
No. McCann.
Maybe. And the curveball sits outside. Hairston want to know. Scott just 6 for 15 this year, getting a runner in from third with less than 2 out. He's got the 9 home runs against lefties, but it's been more than 2 months since he hit a home run off a lefty back on July the 5th against Cole Hamels. Hit hard and caught out of the air by Prado. The throw back to first not in time. If he had released it sooner, he might have been able to double off Murphy. Prado getting a rare start at shortstop for him.
Well, the third baseman Chipper was too far off the bat. He looks to third first, but Chipper's nowhere there to get the double up. So that was the little bit of hesitation right there that enabled Murphy to get back.
You know what's interesting about Prado? He played against the Mets because Andrelton Simmons had gotten hurt the day before. Then Jack Wilson hurt himself, and they had to move Prado to shortstop for that game.
This is only the 5th start he's made at shortstop this year and the 6th of his career. They're talking about activating Andrelton Simmons this weekend, but that's not official yet. He's coming back from a finger injury. As Ike Davis takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Well, Ike's learned to keep his yap shut. That ball I thought was outside, and it just doesn't do you any good, you know. If word gets around that you're a griper, you're not going to get those close calls. And boy, what a second half Ike has had.
And the 3-run homer in support of Dickey in St. Louis Wednesday afternoon. And you saw the graphic there, 8 home runs with 2 or more men on base. That's the most for a Met since 1996 when Todd Hundley had 9 home runs with 2 or more on. Hundley hit 41 that year.
I'll tell you what, with the 26 home runs and 77 RBIs, he's only 2 behind David for the team lead.
Off the end of the bat to second base. And Utley makes the play on Davis, and Mahalam is able to work out a first inning trouble. No score after 1. His farewell tour around baseball. Each team has been honoring him in their own way. Chipper had a press conference today, which was very heavily attended, and then Jeff Wilpron presented him with this piece of artwork created by Charles Vizino, which depicts Chipper at Shea Stadium, his favorite ballpark. Chipper was talking about his son Shea, who's now 8 years old. He said his room is completely done in orange and blue. He's got 2 seats from Shea Stadium, which are bolted to the floor in his closet, where he gets dressed every day.
Really?
And his son completely understands the impact that Shea Stadium had on his dad.
Wow.
Freddie Freeman fouls one back.
And the other way around, too.
Well, of course. It's so interesting because Chipper is a small town kid, self-described, from a town of 600 in Florida. And he said the first 10 years that he came to New York, all he did was stay in his hotel room, take the bus to the ballpark, go back after the game, and stay in his hotel room. And it's only been the last 5 or 6 years, he said, that he's been, getting out amongst the people in New York. And he did a great impression of what he hears on the streets. He even dropped a "Yo, Chipper."
That's right.
So he's got a great sense of humor. He's been a tremendous credit to the game. And as much as Freeman hits one out to right field, and Hairston has it lined up, and that's the first out. As much as Met fans grew to be annoyed with Chipper because of the way he played against them, he was never the villain that John Rocker was. Rocker was the guy who the Met fan hated. Chipper was the guy that they liked to tease, but they had more of a positive relationship with.
There's love and hate. This is more like and appreciate.
Well, I mean, Chipper was asked, if you were a Met fan, how would you feel about you? And he said, well, I would respect the body of work, but I would hate my guts.
That's good.
Here's Martin Prado with 1 out and nobody on, and he takes inside for ball 1.
He's a Mickey Mantle guy, too, just like you, Keith.
Yes. 2 switch hitters, power hitting switch hitters. Chipper number 3 in the all-time home run list for switch hitters.
Certainly too young, but he must have had some great stories from his pops about the great number 7.
His father was a huge Mickey Mantle fan. Interesting, isn't it, that he only made 8 All-Star teams?
Really? Yeah. I was shocked when I saw that.
Did not make the All-Star team the year he won MVP in 1999. Prado takes that ugly half swing, and it's 1-2.
That's getting even. There you go.
Switch hitters, home runs. Only 2 have hit more than Chipper.
They make you wonder how many would Mickey have hit if he hadn't had that injury, the injury-prone career of his.
Who would have been the third baseman? Rowland in a lot of those All-Star games? I'm trying to think.
Well, who's the backup, too?
Right center field, closing fast as Torres, and he makes the running grab and then loses his footing. And let's hope he's okay. He might have been shaken up as he awkwardly stumbled there.
Oh, your little knee bruise here.
Well, you're just talking about Mickey Mantle. It was a similar catch that he caught a drain.
Right. Well, he was going down and looking to roll over, it looked like, but he caught his knee and
ouch.
Very, very odd stumble there. Of course, you remember opening day, Torres re-injured his calf running after a fly ball.
Against the Braves also. Oh, that he really hit that pretty hard. Replace your divot, of course.
That's right.
Hairston helping out his teammate.
Someone may have to putt on that.
That is
later.
A serious divot there, by the way. Ray Ramirez, the trainer, out to see if Torres is going to be able to continue.
It was strange how he went down, almost like his knee gave way or something.
Very nice. Mr. Hairston, look at him. He's a golfer.
Or a caddy. One or the other. It's funny.
The one on the other leg.
Yeah, like that gave way and that made him fall on his right knee.
There he's going.
It looked like it got folded under him as he stumbled. That left leg.
I think he's
going to go out through the bullpen.
He's heading for the last roundup.
Yep.
So Torres will exit along with the trainer Ray Ramirez. They'll probably move Hairston to center field. And so Torres, not for the first time this year, has to exit a game against the Braves.
Terry, here we're going to see it once more. Terry Collins has got to hustle back in from right field and say who the heck's going to go out there and replace.
John's happy with the catch, but he saw the enormity of that. Here comes Valdespin.
Valdespin's going to go to center, so they'll keep Hairston in right. By the way, the starting third baseman in the 1999 All-Star game when Chipper didn't make it was Matt Williams.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Matt Williams, who in 1994, before the players were locked out, was on his way to incredible year.
43 home runs on August the 13th when the season was shut down. And did not win the MVP. Jeff Bagwell won the MVP that year.
Bagwell got hurt, hadn't he, right before?
Broke his hand.
Yeah.
Got hit by a pitch. And never would have won the MVP had there not been a strike. So now we're ready to resume with 2 out and nobody on in the second. Torres leaving because of injury. Valdespin takes over in center field, and Jason Hayward will be the batter. Hayward, 24 home runs, 69 driven in. It's a nice bounce back season. And he takes a fastball for a strike from Neese. Tonight in Washington, Steven Strasburg is making his last home start of the year against the Marlins. He gave up 2 runs in the first inning. Here's the good curveball by Neese, and it's 0-2. But the Nats got 2 back. Ryan Zimmerman with a home run, and they're even going to the second.
I tell you what, I was kind of waiting for that young Nat team to kind of maybe just feel a little bit of that pressure and have a little setback, and they keep winning.
And fighting last night. Hit the other way, and Hayward has the Braves' first hit. Bate comes over to cut it off. Hayward takes a wide turn and slams on the brakes and settles for a 2-out single.
It doesn't hurt having the Cubbies in town for 4 days either.
Well, there's some patsies in the NL.
Wow, that's good hitting.
Now, what happened yesterday? The Cubs were losing, and the Nats were swinging 3-0. And
it's not that the Cubs were losing; it's that the Nationals were killing them for 3 games. As Rizzo gets in the middle of Mike Gonzalez, a relief pitcher, I don't know why he's out there. But what had happened is one of the National hitters swung on a 3-0 pitch, Jason Worth. It was 7-2 in the 5th inning, and Jamie Quirk for the Cubs just lost it and started screaming.
Bench coach?
Screaming over, bench coach. Screaming at Davey, screaming or whatever. And Davey addressed it afterwards, said, just frustration on the Cubs' part, on the Cubs coaching staff. They lost it, and that's how it goes.
He didn't call anybody a wuss, did he?
No.
Not this time.
That's saved for Joe Madden.
But it's interesting that the Nats under Davey have not only won, but they've shown some fight and some of that spunk that you guys showed under Davey a long time ago.
2 games in a row, 6 home runs, 12 in 2 days. That'll get you angry.
Dan Uggla, whose playing time has diminished lately because he has not hit for half a season now, falls behind on the count 1-2.
Boy, last year his year started out slow. This year he got off hot and quick. It's been a reverse year for him. A terrible second half. All that money they paid him, and boy, oh boy, he's only got 17 home runs.
Last 77 games, Uggla's hitting 151 with 7 homers and 29 RBIs. That's nearly half a season. 1-2 from Neese. Hit sharply, but right at Cedeno, and he goes the short way to get the force on Hayward to end the inning. Torres leaves because of injury. Scoreless game in the second. No score. Mets had first 2 men on against Paul Maholm in the first, but couldn't bring him around. Kelly Shopping will lead off in the home second. Kelly's played a dozen games for the Mets, getting .278, 3 homers and 9 RBIs as a Met. There you see his overall numbers, and getting more and more of the playing time behind the plate. Shopping, Bay, and Valdespin up for the Mets against Maholm, who's now thrown 11 innings against the Mets this year without allowing a run. Maholm actually made a relief appearance against the Mets while pitching for the Cubs right before the All-Star break. And then that shutout he pitched for the Braves last month. Now making his 7th start for Atlanta. And the curveball in for a strike, 0-2. Jason Bay waiting on deck, Maholm's former Pittsburgh teammate. Maholm now 30 years old, first round pick by the Pirates back in 03 out of Mississippi State. He and Tom Gorzelati came up right around the same time. A couple of young lefties as he strikes out Shopping with the curveball. First strikeout for Mahalam.
Well, good curveball here. It's after he threw one for a strike, then he throws one out of the strike zone. Nice combination of curveballs to Shopik.
By the way, Strasburg just gave up a home run to Rob Brandley, the backup catcher for the Marlins, and 3-2 Miami.
I don't know how he can pitch anyway. The service they did to him, what he has to deal with the press answering all those questions. Then he's got to go out and throw zeros. Shame.
Had himself a pretty fine year.
Yeah, great year.
May had himself a nice finish to the road trip with the grand slam he hit in Miami. A couple of hits in St. Louis. That one's off Mahalam's glove, steered nicely to Prado for the second out. So 2 away on the 1-6-3 put out. Here's the inside pitch on Paul Mahalam, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, we've seen the Mets step out on Mahalam already because he likes to work so quickly. You got to make him get the ball up. Keith tells you all the time. Sinker ballers, got to get the ball up. And the right-handed hitters, if you try to pull the ball, you're going to be 6-3 all day. You got to try to go the other way.
So here's Valdespin, who is not in the starting lineup, but took over for Torres in center field, getting an unexpected chance to hit against a left-hander. And Valdespin takes a strike. Giordani just came back as a September call-up, and this is his first plate appearance since his recall. He was announced as a pinch hitter on Wednesday, but never got to the plate. Valdespin hitting at .241 for the year. Takes a fastball inside, 1-1.
Always beware of those guys that have to replace an injured player early in the game.
And the other thing about Valdespin in the lineup here is you look at Mahalam, and he is not one of those left-handers who dominates left-hand hitters. In fact, the left-hand hitters hit some 40 points higher against Mahalam than the right-hand hitter. That's why Davis and Murphy are in the lineup, and now Valdespin as well. And he hits one past the mound. Douglas slides over and makes the quick toss, and Freeman digs it out to end the inning. So Mahalam has set down 6 in a row. We go to the third at Citi Field with no score. Mets history as Bud Harrelson reflects on 50 years of baseball, plus an in-depth profile on Matt Harvey. Find out the one thing that has impressed his teammates the most on Mets Weekly, presented by W.B. Mason. New episode Sunday at 6, only on SNY.
One of my favorite people, buddy.
Oh, he's the best. He's got a new book out. I've got a chance to read it as soon as the season's done.
I have to get my hands on that. Here's David Ross getting the start behind the plate tonight. Ross making his 38th start, both because there's a left-hander on the mound and also because Brian McCann has fallen off the same way he fell off late last season.
Well, they say McCann has a very sore right shoulder and he can't drive the ball, and it's affecting his hitting, not so much his throwing. So, you know, if you got injuries in the shoulder, that's going to affect you. No question about it.
Well, last year, as his team collapsed down the stretch, Freddie Gonzalez watched McCann hit 180 after August 1st. This year, he's hitting 155 since August 1st. And, you know, when he's healthy, McCann is a very important part of that Braves offense. But Ross is a more than capable backup, as the Mets have seen far too much of. In fact, he's 6 for 13 against Nice with a home run, and he gets the curveball down to third, and David Wright handles the two-hopper, and that's the first out of the third. So Ross retired one away. Now Mahalam, a notoriously poor hitter, just 3 for 52 on the season. That's 0.58, by the way.
He's had a home run in his career, though, and I think that's against the Mets here at Citi Field. John Maine, maybe.
Well, he has a home run this season. He has 2 in his career. And he takes a fastball somewhere off the plate for ball 1. And he misses away, 2 balls and a strike. Line center field. Wouldn't you know it?
Yep.
Call him a notoriously bad hitter, and he's got his 4th hit in 53 at bat.
That's why I kept my mouth shut. That's good hitting right there. Lefty gets a lefty. Looked pretty good to me.
How's your mustache doing, by the way?
He wants to say that he's more of a tough luck hitter.
Well, that's his first hit as a Brave right there. He was 0 for 13 as a Bravo.
Here's Michael Bourne. He takes up an. Did they save the baseball for him?
No.
Bourne flied out to left his first time up. Bourne has scored 88 runs, has 153 hits, he's stolen 38 bases, but he's also struck out 133 times, which is a ton for a leadoff hitter.
And the defense is shaded to the opposite field in the outfield. Valdez being very much shaded in the left center field. Right, of course, in at the corners to protect against the bunt.
And he's all of a sudden having trouble throwing it anywhere near the plate as Bourne gets dusted.
Let's see if he stays in next pitch.
Bourne's a good player. I bet he stays in.
Oh, yes. He hits lefties well, too. I'm not. Yes.
And he takes ball 4, and the Braves have 2 men on. So Nice walks Bourne on 4 pitches after giving a base hit to the pitcher. And all of a sudden, the Braves have a threat going. 1st and 2nd and 1 out. And Reed Johnson coming up. Otherwise, a good call, Ronnie. Mahalam's first home run was against John Maine in 2009.
You're getting like Gary.
That'll never happen.
A mind like a steel trap.
Never happen.
But did you say it was at Shea? Where'd you say it was here?
City.
It's here, yeah. First year at City in May of 09.
He dumped it just over the wheat thins. Small, shortest part of the park.
In that corner?
Yeah. Yeah, that corner.
Here's Reed Johnson, who flied out to left his first time up. And the curveball hit for a strike to Johnson, 0-1. Reed Johnson, scrappy player who's helped a lot of teams over the years. The Blue Jays and the Dodgers and the Cubs, and now trying to help the Braves as a platoon player in left field.
I remember when he got released in spring training. I don't know what year it was. We both were talking about, all of us were talking about, he'll be scooped up in about a half hour.
That's when he went to Chicago. When Toronto let him go.
Yep. Not enough power in that bat to play in Toronto, I guess, huh? They like those power hitters there.
He runs through a wall, though. 0-2 from Nice. And he tries to crowd him with a cutter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. John has now made 16 straight starts in which he's gone at least 6 innings. And in every one of those 16 starts, he's walked 2 batters or fewer. An incredible stretch of consistency. Last year he won 11 games. He's won 10 so far this year. And trying to finish the year strong. And the signs are certainly pointing in that direction. Last year, his season ended in August because of injury. But his ERA before he got hurt in August last year was 7.15. This year his ERA in August, 2.61. So John, who is bound and determined to finish this year healthy and strong, is heading in that direction.
92 miles an hour with that straight fastball inside.
I see the Marlins, Gary, tacked on another run.
That would be Mr. Stanton hitting a bomb against Strasburg. 31 now for Giancarlo.
Wow.
So it's 4-2 Miami in the 3rd. Well, if he gets knocked out early, does that mean he gets an extra start?
Right.
1-2 from Nice. Johnson takes another cutter inside. 2-2. There you see the season this year for John. A little stumble in May, but otherwise he's had himself quite a year.
It's really been 3 starts. He's had 3 starts, two where he gave up 8 runs, one where he gave up 7 runs.
That one in Toronto.
Yeah.
He got touched for 4 home runs in 3 innings. Now the 2-2, and Johnson grounds one. Right goes a long way, makes the backhand flip, and off the bag is Murphy, and everybody's safe.
Yes.
David likes that backhand, but from that far away, it just doesn't get there in time.
Well, I never like this play by David. It doesn't get there. Throw it over there with some mustard, and the change of pace too. I think Murph's inexperience at second base got him to come off the bag, but Murph's got to realize right there you can't turn 2 and make sure 1.
The other thing about that throw, I mean, that's Michael Bourne running. That's not some plow horse. You got to be crisp with that toss, and that was not. So now it's an infield hit for Johnson, and the bases are loaded for Chipper Jones. So Chipper, who grounded out to shortstop, has a chance for another memorable Flushing moment.
Well, whatever you do, be careful. RBI situations. Chipper Jones now at this point in his career is swinging the bat and aggressive early.
And whereas there have been points in his career where he has struggled as a right-hand batter, that is not the case right now. Here's that play at second base where Murphy comes off.
Yep, he's off. It's just a little bit too. Normally, if he's going to turn the double play and complete it, they might have given it to him.
So here's Chipper, bases loaded, 1 out, and he takes a strike on the outside edge.
Chipper's going to sit on curveball early. He'll do that occasionally.
It's been 11 years since Chipper Jones hit a grand slam.
Nope, there was his pitch to hit right there, and he was tardy.
Kept it down, though, down and away. I just think of Chipper from the right side, a guy who likes the ball up in the strike zone.
This is right down Broadway.
Some of the fans trying to get a Larry chant going.
Boy, wouldn't he like to just have a great final series here at City?
Lays off that breaking ball, 1-2.
Table is set for him.
Mahalam at third, Bourne at second, and Johnson at first with 1 out. No score in the 3rd. All these games of utmost importance to the Braves. Hoping to catch the Nationals, but more importantly trying to hold off the field in the wild card race. And he struck him out. Nice fans Chipper Jones for the 2nd out of the inning. First strikeout of the night for Nice.
Boy, it almost seems like a two-seamer, but the great thing about this the theme of this at bat for Nice, he kept the ball down, nothing over the knees, where Chipper really had to reach for it. Took a chance on the strikeout, bouncing it, and then that good pitch, almost like a two-seamer, went down and away.
Sinker.
Well, the Braves in the series they just completed against the Rockies, in which they won 3 of 4, were just 3 for 35 with runners in scoring position. And that was a big at bat wasted for Chipper Jones. Now Freddie Freeman will try and pick him up. Freeman's had a wonderful year against the Mets, but he hasn't been hitting much lately. Freeman already has 4 home runs against the Mets this year, 16 runs driven in a dozen games, and he's hitting over 400 against Met pitching.
Go ahead, Keith.
Well, there's only 234 against the left-handers this year, and the Braves have struggled at 25 and 29 against lefties this year. And that's the lack of Uggla's bat, the right-handed bat to counter.
And the curveball rolled out to shortstop. Cedeno will go to first with it, and that retires the side. So Nice works out of a bases-loaded jam against the 3 and 4 hitters. He gets Chipper and Freeman to keep it a scoreless game as we go to the bottom of the 3rd at Citi Field. Scenes access, player reactions, and a complete game breakdown with exclusive on-field interviews and Rex Ryan's post-game comments on Jets Post-Game Live, presented by Toyota, Sunday, immediately after the Jets-Bills game, only on SNY. Do you have a prediction, Keith?
Yes. I think
keeping it to yourself.
After the very disappointing Giant opener, lost to a very good Dallas team who played a great game, I think the Jets, with all that troubles they've had scoring in the offseason, preseason, they're going to win the opener and handily.
Handily?
Yes.
Handily means 2 touchdowns?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to get a...
Too much parity in the NFL.
So what does handily mean to you?
It's not. They're going to have. It's not going to be a nail biter in the end. Okay, the score sometimes is not indicative of someone at the game.
Well, that's good because, you know, you and I are going to be sitting here Sunday doing the Mets-Braves game, and I don't want to be nervous checking in on the Jets.
You do the play-by-play and focus. I'll watch the Jets. I'll keep it covered.
Thanks, Keith. That's very kind of you.
That computer will be out.
Ronnie Cedeno on deck. John Nice with 8 hits this year. And he takes a strike, 2-2. Do you have any insight on the rest of Sunday's card?
I don't have any insight. I kind of like the Raiders to win their opener.
Who they playing?
They're playing San Diego at home.
Josh will be.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Josh is
looped over short and a base hit for Nice. So the Mets got the leadoff man out of the 3rd. Nice's 9th hit of the year. After Maholm had retired the last 6.
Well, Jonathan, remember, is dangerous with the bat. And this is a little lollipop, get me over slider, and he hits it nicely.
He's second on the team to R.A. Dickey in hits this season.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on for the second time in 3 innings. Cedeno led off with a walk in the first.
Well, in only at the one corner. And then Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, he tries to bunt and fouls it off.
One thing I noticed there, Keith, because you always commented, although he's out of the game now, but Bourne plays a little deeper in center field. He's more of a guy that a little more conservative.
Well, you can see all that space behind Bourne. He's playing, I think, he's playing in, you know, average depth, normal depth, and that's a lot of ground to cover for a center fielder. This ballpark, you've got to have a center fielder that can play. I know as a starting pitcher, Ronnie, you would agree with me. You would want someone out there like Mookie or Lenny to run it down.
Yeah. Toward the hole, a base hit for Cedeno. He pulls it at second, and the Mets with back-to-back hits to start the home third.
Well, the double play depth up the middle here, and I don't know what the heck. Chipper's guarding the line almost. I don't think it would have mattered. That ball's hitting the hole.
Chipper's just not very mobile at this point in his career.
And you got Mulholland, who's kind of a little, I'm not saying this in a negative way, he's a jump baller. He throws up a little off here, a little change up there, slow stuff.
Here's his fastball to Murphy for a strike.
Right-handers more apt to pull him.
Jump ballers prefer finesse pitcher, so it's a jump ball.
Touch and feel pitcher.
For lack of a better word.
Murphy singled to center his first time. Now it's a 9-game hitting streak, and he takes it high, 1-1. The Braves pitching staff is working on a string of 21 consecutive scoreless innings going back to Tuesday against Colorado. So that's in jeopardy here with the Mets putting the first 2 men on in the third. They put the first 2 on in the first and didn't score. Slider off the plate, 2-1. Well, Chris Medlin has been front and center lately for the Braves. He'll pitch tomorrow for Atlanta.
And Hudson.
But Hudson's quietly had a very good year.
Boy, I'll say. He's just, know what it is? He's just alpha male. He just gets that ball. You got to beat him. I like him.
He won that 1-0 game yesterday against the Rockies.
Quietly has a good year every year.
Remember, his season got off to a late start this year because he was hurt and he hit the ground running. But remember, early in the year, the Braves were counting on young pitchers like Randall Delgado. They were thinking Julio Teheran was going to be part of the mix. So they've had to alter their sights a little bit. Mulholland coming over in the trade, Medlin being moved into the rotation with great positive impact. 3-2 now to Murphy. And combined with that incredible late inning bullpen that they throw at you, it's been a pretty good combination.
Hudson is only getting back to Hudson. He's only 6 shy from 200 wins, Ronnie. What a career.
3-2 with nobody out, and Murphy slugs one down the left field line foul.
I don't think we even mentioned that Hudson. You mentioned, Gary, that he got off to a slow start or came a little late, but he also has been fighting bone spurs in his ankle the entire year. Just a gamer.
Long turn at bat here for Murphy with David Wright waiting on deck. And that's on the outside corner, and Murphy down looking. Daniel was caught looking for something else, got a 3-2 fastball, and that's the first out.
Now, the fastball away is always an effective pitch. Now, that ball could have been called could have been low.
It could have been low, but it was a pretty perfect pitch by Mulholland.
Got no gripe from Daniel, so Daniel must have thought it was a strike.
So 1 out. Now David Wright, who flied to center his first time up. That's already 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position tonight. Since the 1st of August, the Mets as a team are hitting 176 with runners in scoring position. Complete turnaround from the first half of the year when they sustained themselves with high numbers with runners in scoring position, particularly with 2 out.
So Everything was going their way that first half. And that opening road trip started out against this ball club down in Atlanta, and that was the beginning of the end.
All working both sides of the plate, 1-1. Yep. Dave Hudgens' plan worked to perfection the first half of the year. The Mets were up among the league leaders in walks and on base percentage, getting the big 2-out hits, stringing together hits. But ultimately, their lack of speed and their lack of power caught up with them.
You know, and a lot of factors too. The bullpen was not up to snuff, and it all adds up. And there's the old adage, that's why you play 162. This game, water seeks its level, cream comes to the top. It's a marathon.
Funny thing is, the last 3 weeks or so, the bullpen has been fantastic. David taking much better swings right now than we saw during a lot of the last month.
Well, Keith and I have both have said it before. He's got to have one more big streak in him.
Well, with Ike hitting behind him, and I know Ike's not hitting behind him this game, Hairston is. David needs another big bat. I just think that as it just wears on him, he got so many big hits in that first half of the year. Had a terrific first half. He's having a terrific season. He's fallen off in the second half a little bit. And I just think it wears on him that he's up there and he's the guy that's counted on day in, day out to drive in the big runs.
But for so much of this second half, we've seen him revert to that uppercut swing that we saw a lot of the last couple of years. But, you know, the first half of the year, his swing was so pretty to look at.
Yes, and he was hitting home runs too, and driving in runs. And the home runs have kind of stopped right now. He's been stuck on 17 for a bit.
Seventh pitch of the at bat coming from Mahalam to right, and David lays off the curveball, and it's 2-2. The Mets certainly are working Mahalam a lot harder than they did the last time they saw him, when he threw a complete game with only 95 pitches.
Yeah, well, he had everything working for him. Everything he threw was a good strike and a good spot. Sometimes those pitchers go out there and they got it all going for them, and it's going to be a tough day for the hitters.
Fastball in, maybe.
Tell you what, David's taking a rip up there, like coming out of his shoes.
Ninth pitch of the at bat, and Wright goes down swinging on the fastball. So Mahalam with back-to-back strikeouts after 2 hits to start the inning as he gets Murphy and now Wright.
He had to be looking for something else here. It's a fastball outside corner, little late sink, completely fooled Dave.
So 2 out and 2 on. It's left to Hairston, who had a bullet to shortstop his first time up. Well, the Mets got the first 2 men on in the first and stranded them. They got the first 2 men on here in the third and trying to avoid doing the same. Hairston, who has the highest slugging percentage on the ball club, especially against the lefties, and he takes the curveball outside. Hairston with a .510 slugging percentage coming into the game, 9 points higher than Wright. Neese at second, Cedeno at first with 2 down. Mahalam up to 50 pitches working in the third. Not his norm. And back-to-back curveballs, and he falls behind 2-0 with Ike Davis on deck. Hairston gets 3 curveballs in a row. Now it's 2-1.
Mulholland has that little funky delivery. He's probably very deceptive for hitters. He rushes that arm and almost like he just shoves it at one last minute.
Hand grenades it up there.
So you would call that an unorthodox delivery.
Effective though so far.
2-2 now to Hairston.
What's funny about Mulholland? Pitches around the strike zone, throws a lot of junk early in the count, and then when he throws that straight fastball, it seems to surprise the hitter.
He's thrown 27 pitches in this inning. Now 2 on 2 out, 2-2 to Hairston. And he just missed. Full count to Scott. And that'll get the runners in motion.
Real close here. Little cutter. Boy, oh boy.
So now Neese at second and Cedeno at first will be on the move. 3-2 to Hairston. Fly ball, shallow left center, cutting in is Bourne, and he makes the grab to end the inning. So the Mets, for the second time in 3 innings, get the first 2 men on and leave them stranded. No score after 3. Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. The slow-mo Pope wave from Chipper. Get a complete recap of tonight's Mets-Braves matchup with insider info and opinion, plus an in-depth breakdown of tomorrow's lineup as they get ready for Game 2 here at Citi Field. Mets blog presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Martin Prado leads off in the 4th inning. Prado, first time up, hit one out to right center field. Andres Torres made a catch, stumbled, hurt himself, and had to leave the game. We've yet to get a medical report on Andres. Prado playing shortstop tonight, leading off in the 4th inning. And he takes a strike from Neese. Shortstop's been something of a revolving door for the Braves this year. Remember, they had Tyler Pasternicki playing there on opening day. But Pasternicki's defense was not up to snuff. It didn't hit either. This one's hit out to center for Valdespin. 1 out. So they have had to mix and match at that position all year. Time Warner Cable helps you enjoy all the things you love better. For more on tonight's game, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, the Mets are playing a team they're certainly familiar with the Braves, and it got me thinking about signs and how often you change them or alter them if you're the Mets or the Braves for that matter when you play a team in your division. And brought me back to a conversation I had about a month ago with Rob Johnson. The catcher, of course, is no longer here. And, you know, we talked about it. And he said, you know, when you're facing a team like this that you see all the time, there's a couple things. First of all, hopefully your signs are complicated enough where the other team can't really get them. But you do end up changing them a lot for the most part. For instance, anything coming from the bench, pitch outs, things like that, you tend to change those quite a bit. And then it really depends on the situation. He said, for me, my indicator, I'm always watching when a runner gets to second base. And if I see that they're relaying the signs, then we've got to change them every inning. And sometimes more than that. We see those little, meetings at the mound between an inning that are quick. It's probably to change the signs. And I said, well, how do you know? How do you know if somebody's relaying signs? He said there are a lot of little tricks that you'd probably never know. Most people, even if you stared at it, wouldn't know. Guys will maybe lean a certain way, or maybe they'll point their lead foot in a certain direction for a certain pitch. There are a million tricks to look for, but it's all part of the game, especially when you're playing a rival like this. Guys?
Well, Kevin, it's interesting when you give the signs with 3 or 4 signs on a guy on second. There's a lot of different ways that pitchers have done it. A good friend of Keith and I, Mike Torres, he used to use pumps, almost like Morse code. Most of them are pretty simple. Sign after 2, first sign, second sign, third. By the end of my career, I used to have the sign after the last pitch. So whatever I threw, the last pitch, it would be the sign after that the next time they went in the rotation.
Is there one way of giving signs that's more difficult for guys at second base to pick up?
The more you do it, the easier it is as a pitcher. It just goes quickly. I think it's harder on the catcher. That becomes a problem. But what happens with guys on second, the younger the pitcher, you'll see catchers really go with first sign, second sign at the most.
Hayward drives one to deep right center field. Back goes Valdespin near the wall, and it's out of here. Jason Hayward with his 25th home run of the year, and he puts the Braves in front 1-0. Well, it's been a terrific bounce back year for Hayward after a disappointing sophomore season. 25 home runs. That's his 70th run batted in.
This is a bomb. Wanted away. Once it's a cutter, Ronnie, and it just belt high, stayed flat, didn't get out. Right down, and we watched the full extension of the arms, right in the wheelhouse.
Well, Hayward had himself a wonderful rookie season. 18 homers, 72 RBIs, hit .277. Took a big step backward last year with some shoulder problems mitigating his year, but boy, what a comeback this year. And he's only 23 years old. 1-1 to Dan Uggla, and he hits one in the air to left center. Over goes Valdespin onto the track, right at the wall to make the catch. So Uggla getting a hold of that curveball and just miss it for the second out.
Bay looks to Valdespin. Valdespin called him off.
Center fielder's ball, even if it's a guy who hasn't played a whole lot of center.
Well, Valdespin's not shy.
So 2 out now, David Ross, who grounded out to third his first time up. The home run, by the way, the 21st allowed by John Neese this year. If there's been anything that has been an issue for Neese at times, it has been the home run ball.
Well, particularly to the right-handers, that's for sure. The 21 home runs, 18 to right-handers.
This time giving up the home run to the lefty.
Part of the thing that happens when he goes 16 straight starts, walk 2 or less, that means you're throwing a lot of strikes. If you're in the strike zone a lot, you're going to give up some home runs.
And do you think when you get to 3-2 in a situation where you're telling yourself you don't want to walk people, do you maybe make a fatter pitch than you otherwise would?
I don't think he's thinking that. You know, we're talking about his streak. He doesn't care about the streak. He's just trying to get something on the outside part because Hayward stands so far away from the plate. He just didn't do it.
The Marlins have now scored in every inning against Strasburg, 6-2 in the fourth. And in fact, Strasburg is out of the game.
I do think one of the things we have not seen from John yet, now he's only given up a run, so it's not a big deal. But as he goes through the order, maybe the third time, he's going to have to try to use that curveball a little more. We've maybe seen less than a half dozen.
Two to Ross, and he bounced the curveball foul. Okay, so Strasburg went 3 innings, allowed 5 runs, 6 hits, 67 pitches. He's out. Wednesday against the Mets here is supposed to be his last start. If it's all about the innings limit, does he now get an extra start?
No. His last start is going to be on the 12th. That'll be it. They'll have a coronation. They were turned down by Mayor Bloomberg of having down Broadway heroes, and that'll be the end of his season.
And no trans fats with the coronation meal.
$16-ounce lemon.
Yes.
2-2. Fly ball, shallow center. Valdez being right there. 3 putouts for the center fielder, but in between, the home run by Jason Hayward. He hits a bomb over 400 feet against John Neese. Hayward's 25th of the year. 1-0 Atlanta in the fourth. Three switch hitters in Major League Baseball with 400 or more home runs, which we've already given away.
Yes. Oh, that's what we do.
We showed a graphic earlier in the game. Wasn't even us. The truck showed a graphic.
That's what we do.
All right, we're making it. We're making it a little easier. It's like, remember the old game show Concentration?
Concentration, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
So we showed the tile, we turned it back over, and now you have to figure out where it is.
I always remember the back in front of the car. Absolutely, in Concentration.
Who was the host? Who was the host of that game?
Hugh Downs first, and then other people after that.
Big shift for Ike.
Davis pulling off that curveball, and it's 1-1. Ike grounded out to second base his first trip.
There's no secret as to how left-handers attack Ike, and that's with a lot of breaking stuff.
Davis, Shopik, and Bay for the Mets. Mahalam now with a 1-0 lead. Still has not given up a run to the Mets in 13 innings this year, and skips that one away, 2-1. Mets have had 2 prime chances already against Mahalam. Got the first 2 men on in the first, got the first 2 men on in the third, but Mahalam able to slip through each time. And Ike watches the fastball wide, 3-1. Too high, and Davis is on with a leadoff walk. Second time Mahalam's walked the leadoff batter tonight. So Kelly Shopik, the batter, with a runner aboard. Shopik struck out his first time up.
This is not the same Mahalam as the last start against the Mets, where he was flawless.
I agree, Ron.
Right?
Yep.
Vulnerable tonight.
The game that Mahalam pitched here on August the 10th was only the 5th time that a visiting pitcher had thrown a shutout here at Citi Field. You remember the others?
Ooh.
It's not easy.
Joel Pinheiro.
That's right, 2009, first year of the ballpark. Pinheiro pitched one, and so did Bronson Arroyo for the Reds.
Oh. Met killer. He always pitches well against the Mets.
There's a harder one on the list, though. Off the fist, Shopik with a weak pop-up, and Chipper Jones will take charge. One away. In 2010, Roy Oswalt pitched a shutout against the Mets, but the other guy, Carl Pavano.
Really?
Yep, I remember.
I don't remember that one.
I do. Was it with the Twins, I guess?
Twins, yeah.
So those were the 4 before Mahalam added his name to the list. Here's Bay, who had ticked one off Mahalam's glove and was thrown out by the shortstop Prado his first time up. 1 out and 1 on. He takes the curveball for a strike. There are your City probables for the remainder of the series. Jeremy Hefner against the raging hot Chris Medlin tomorrow, and then Chris Young against the struggling Tommy Hanson on Sunday.
Got the chance to talk with Medlin today, guys. He is a ball of energy. He's a lot of fun, and he brought up a couple of neat points of maybe some things that pointed to his success. He said, you know, August 18th was 2 years removed from Tommy John surgery, and I don't know if it was part mental or what, but it's definitely helped my curveball more. You know, maybe it's part of the belief that I feel like my arm is definitely good, but I feel like my curveball has gotten better. My confidence in it has gotten better. His big pitch, of course, is the changeup, but it was funny, you know, just talking about the success and the run that he's had, and he said, yeah, you know, some people have brought up the name Greg Maddux lately. I feel bad for that guy being mentioned in the same breath as me. Making fun of himself, of course.
When you're on a run like this, everyone's coming your way. They want you to talk about it. The best thing to do is let it lie. Guys, I don't know why. I'm very lucky. Things are going my way. Guys are scoring runs. Just do not attempt. Is that tree, when it falls, boy, it falls in a hurry.
There's ball 4, and so the second walk of the inning issued by Mahalam. And the Mets have 2 men on for Valdespin. Well, we were there when Medlin blew out his elbow 2 years ago. Sat out last year with Tommy John surgery, and you know, it's certainly worth repeating with Strasburg's imminent shutdown and the way he's been handled by the Nats. The Braves were in the same position with Medlin, knew that they'd have to limit his innings, and in order to do that, they put him in the bullpen to begin the year, and now they've got a fresh starter who's well within his innings limit, able to go down the stretch and pitch into the postseason if the Braves are there. Valdez being grounded out in his only at bat, and takes a strike.
However, you haven't got a 14-game winner going down the stretch for you, and you haven't got him in the playoffs. And I mean, that's, boy, oh boy.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if the Nats knew that Strasburg was going to have to be shut down after a certain innings limit, and certainly they trumpeted that all year, That was slashed foul. Unfortunately, everybody's okay. You know, they had options. They had an option to go the way the Braves did and either start Strasburg late or pitch him out of the bullpen early. And they chose not to do that. And now they're an ace short going into the postseason.
You know why they don't have options, Gary? Because they were trying to win their division. That's why they don't have options. So early in the year, they got on a roll, and they're like, well, you know what? We're really thinking of pulling him in 5 innings, but boy, he's pitching great. And if we win this, we won 3 in a row, and the next thing you know, we might be 2 games up, and that's why. He's part of the reason that they have this big lead.
Oh, I understand that, but if you know you have an asset and you know that that asset has limited shelf life, how do you best manage it? I mean, we talked the other day about Wainwright also coming back from Tommy John surgery, and the Cardinals, maybe because Wainwright's older and because he has more of a history of throwing over 200 innings, they're saying, hey, we're going to keep an eye on him, and if he starts to unravel, we'll take a look at it. He certainly didn't pitch great the other day against the Mets, but he's made it into the second week in September without his arm falling off.
Do you guys think if that was never even brought out to the public and put out in the media in spring training that this would be an issue right now? Like if that wasn't established in the spring, that we would even be talking about it right now?
Well, I think the problem is that even if they were planning to shut him down, as Valdespin keeps the bat alive, even if they were planning to shut him down, they should never have said a word. And if we were coming into the same situation where he was going to be shut down next week, let them announce it after his next start and say, okay, we've reached his innings limit, we're shutting him down, and let it be a story for one day and then be over with, as opposed to something we've talked about now for 6 months. It was just a dreadful piece of public relations on the Nats' part, letting this thing become an issue all year. Nats have themselves a substantial lead.
Only 2 teams with those kinds of leads, the Nats and Cincinnati Reds.
Reds are up 8.5. National League standings presented by Dunkin' Donuts. 7th pitch of the at bat coming from Mahalam to Valdespin, and the breaking ball hits softly to short. Prado's going to go to second with it and get the force there on Bay, and that's the second out. Well, we haven't seen a lot of Prado at shortstop, but he sure looks like he knows what he's doing there.
He looks good at every position. That was not an easy play, especially when you haven't been playing shortstop all season long.
Well, the speedy Valdespin to first base and a ball hit slowly. Know your back runner there. Got rid of it quickly. You should be able to get the force out there.
So now Neese, who had a base hit his first time up. Nets have already stranded 4 in the first 3 innings. 2 more aboard with 2 out, and Neese takes a slider for a strike. John now has 9 hits, 2 RBIs for the year. Late swing foul, and it's 0-2.
I've seen every swing on a left-hander on an inside fastball from Mahalam, but it just ties him up. Now, he doesn't want to throw inside, but he misses over the other side. I had a lot of the plate, but look what it does to the hitter, because he never throws inside the left-hander. He should throw a little more to keep him honest.
And it gets Neese looking to end the inning. So the Mets strand 2 more. After 2 walks by Mahalam, Mets have left 6 in the first 4 innings and trail 1-0. Hayward's 25th home run, accounting for the only run off John Neese in the 4th. Mets have had 8 at-bats with runners in scoring position already, but have come up empty against Paul Maholm, against whom they still have not scored this year. 1-0 as we go to the 5th. Neese has thrown 74 pitches in the first 4 innings, more than he'd like.
The Mets numbers, of course, and runners in scoring position has just been awful of late. I was just thinking that with this 1-0 score, the Braves have won 2 games in a row, 1-0.
Each of those games, they won 1-0, scoring an unearned run each time. And in each of those instances, the runs scored on the errors, so they had no runs batted in 2 games and won them both. You know, you like the never befores.
Yeah.
Since the RBI became an official statistic in 1920, it was the first time in Major League history that a team had ever won back-to-back games without an RBI. First time.
Really? That makes sense.
They became the first big league team to win 2 straight games without scoring an earned run in either game since 1987, when the Orioles did. And the curveball in for a strike 3 to Maholm. Only the 2nd strikeout for John Neese tonight. And he's got the first out of the 5th.
This is a slow hook from Jonathan. Starts down the middle. Maybe breaks a little outside, but it's where it crosses the plate.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Michael Bourne has flied to left and drawn a walk. In the red-hot American League East race, the Yankees, who lost a dreadful game to Baltimore last night, dreadful from their standpoint, great from the Orioles, who had a full house for a change. The Yankees are up 7-0 on the Orioles in the 6th tonight, and Tampa Bay's tied 1-1 with Texas in the 5th. Evan Longoria hit a home run. As Bourne takes a strike, 1-1. R.A. Dickey's next start coming up on Tuesday night against the Nats here at Citi Field, as they'll go for win number 19. 5 more starts for Dickey. I was shocked. That's lined over Murphy's head and into right field, a base hit. And so Bourne is on for the 2nd time. I was shocked to pick up the New York Times this morning and see an editorial.
That's right.
Not even an op-ed piece, but an editorial advocating folks coming out to Citi Field to see R.A. Dickey because of the extraordinary year that he's having.
Just doesn't happen, right?
No. Well, it gives you an idea just how his season has transcended the normal outstanding year that a pitcher might have. The backstory is so interesting even to a non-sports fan. And now he's got apparently a contract to write a few children's books after having had his successful autobiography.
Knuckle Ned is the character in his children's book.
Yeah.
Yes. And the other one will be, I guess, a condensed children's version of his best-selling book out earlier this year.
Well, he deserves every ounce of the success that's coming his way. And you maybe only pass this way once, having a year like this in your life. And that doesn't mean that, Ari's not going to have successful years to follow, but this is that one that just falls from the sky.
Well, I saw that Joe Niekro and the fraternity of knuckleballers, including Wakefield, are all rooting for R.A. Dickey.
Well, no knuckleballers ever won a Cy Young. Joe Niekro came close. Wilbur Wood came close. But right now, he's in a pretty tight race with Johnny Cueto for that honor. 1-1 to Reed Johnson, and he pops it up. Murphy waiting for it to come down and tracking it and staying with it for the 2nd out.
How can this be?
A little windy once it gets over the top of the ballpark. I was thinking that in some way, if he wins the Cy Young, it almost legitimizes all those older knuckleballers, because, listen, a lot of players consider a knuckleball pitcher kind of a carnival show, and they're not, and especially when R.A. takes them out.
Here's Chipper Jones, is 0 for 2 tonight. Chipper grounded out to short in the 1st, struck out in the 3rd. By the way, you'll be happy to know that Chipper had a really good night's sleep last night.
Oh, he did? The bed was better this time?
Well, the last time the Braves came to New York, Chipper had to sit out with back spasms because he said that the bed at the hotel the Braves were staying at was not up to snuff.
Superstar always gets the best room, right? They got the suite.
Apparently, he did not the last time, but from his own account of it today, in his words, he said, "I think I got Obama's suite." He said it's the best bed I've ever slept in my life. So they tried to make it up to him. Hit out to right field, and right there is Hairston to grab it, and the side retired. So Chipper now 0 for 3. We're halfway through at Citi Field, 1-0 Atlanta.
The city of New York brought out the best in me. I knew that I had to come here and be good in order to avoid some of the jeers and cheers and whatnot. I love, Tony Carullo in the clubhouse. I love coming and seeing him. But ultimately, it comes down to what happens between the lines. And I know every time that I come to New York, I'm going to play a good baseball team. And I got a lot of friends on the other side, both here in Flushing and over in the Bronx. And I enjoy getting together with them. I'm gonna miss that camaraderie throughout the years.
And by the way, despite the numbers he's put up this year, he's having no second thoughts about retiring at the end of the year. He said he had spoken to Craig Biggio, who was, with Chipper in that fraternity of players who's only played for one team. And he asked him, did you have any regrets at the end? And Biggio said, no, I knew it was time.
You know what happens, too, when you get older, Gary? And usually when you've been around as long as Chipper is a called third strike to Cedeno, is that your club has a turnover. And a new younger generation comes in, and your older friends that you played with are gone, and it's a whole different generation in, and it makes it a little more difficult.
And in Chipper's case, not just, the Smoltzes and the Maddoxes and the Glavins gone, but also he played for one manager for so long. And he and Bobby Cox developed an incredible relationship, player-manager. And, now that's over, too.
The part that became old to me quickly was the travel. I just did not have the patience for the travel anymore. And the baseball travel is as good as it gets.
Well, Murphy hits one at Maholm, surprised that he was able to get a piece of it, is able to throw him out 2 away. Ball appeared to be by Maholm, but he stuck out that right hand and made the play.
Well, the big thing I had a hard time with is the music. The music. Oh my God!
In the clubhouse and in the plane.
Oh, terrible! Oh, you curmudgeon! I'm just an old dinosaur.
His right is fly to center and struck out.
You didn't like the type of music or the loudness of the music?
No, the type of music. It was just a generational thing.
There was another topic that came up in Chipper's press conference today, and it was about peripherally about David Wright. He was asked about playing for one team his whole career, and he said, one thing the Braves did for me, they never let me get close to free agency. I never went into a season, as David has a base hit, a 2-out single for Wright. He said the Braves never let me go into a season where the free agent would be impending at the end of the year. They always made sure that I was re-signed before, and he said it's something special when your employers let you know that you're so valuable that they have no intention of letting you go anywhere else. And he was asked the question in the context of David Wright's contract situation, where he's got an option year next year, would be a free agent after that, and it was clear what he was saying.
Yeah.
That if you want a player to be a franchise player, a guy who only plays for one team, you can't let it get to that point. Here's Hairston, who's 0 for 2, line to short and flying to center, and David back to the bag.
You know, guys, for me, from the media standpoint, he and Bobby Cox are a lot alike, and it's such a rare thing to see nowadays, is that didn't matter when, didn't matter where, you just kind of go over and plop down a chair and sit and talk baseball. And it's a really refreshing thing. It doesn't always have to be about something that you're reporting on, but basically whoever was in the Braves clubhouse would just kind of pull up, sit down, and talk about the game. And then there might be a point when everyone pulls out their notebooks or their cameras, and then he kind of goes on the record. Bobby Cox was the same way. You just kind of go over to Atlanta's side. He'd be in his little office. You go and sit down and grab some peanuts and hang out, and it's a rare thing. And that's what was cool about Chipper from the media standpoint, a superstar that was as accessible as anyone.
Well, and part of that is the difference between playing in New York and playing in Atlanta. And Chipper even acknowledged that today. He said, look, I would have loved, I've thought about playing in the bigger market. Everybody thinks about what that would be like. He said, but it would be different. He said, I like to speak my mind, and I wouldn't want my name to be in headlines every day about something I said. Grounded to shortstop, and Prado gets the force play, and that ends the inning. There are horses for courses, and Chipper Jones and Atlanta have been a perfect fit. After 5, 1-0 Atlanta. thanks to Jason Hayward's 4th inning home run off John Neese. Freddie Freeman's 0 for 2, flat out grounded out. He's now 0 for his last 13, and he takes a curveball from Neese for a strike. A little slower curveball that time from John.
Starting to sprinkle that in a little bit here in the middle innings.
Freeman, Prado, and Hayward for the Braves in the 6th. Well, as we move down the stretch of this season, we're looking toward the Mets' future. And as we move through these final weeks of the year, we're going to take each of the Mets players one by one and talk about their season, talk about their future, talk about where they rank in the pantheon in Major League Baseball at their position. And try and get a feel for what this team is going to look like next year. 2-2 now to Freeman, because there are a lot of moving parts. Two from Neese to Freeman, and he fouls back the fastball. Martin Prado waits on deck. Jason Hayward behind him. Neese over 90 pitches now, working in the 6th inning. And Freeman fouls off another one. John has allowed 1 run and 5 hits. He's walked 1. He's struck out 2. And Freeman making him work that much harder. Eighth pitch of the at bat coming from Neese to Freeman. And the curveball lifted to left, and over comes Bay to retire Freeman, 1 away. So as we start our path of looking at each Met player individually, I guess we'll start at the beginning, and that means starting with David Wright, who has had himself a wonderful year despite a second half drop off. Started with that big home run in Philadelphia after he had broken his finger, and he never seemed to let up for the first half of the season, having his best defensive year as well. And David has been the clear leader on this team all year long, as Prado takes wide for ball 1. Here you see some of the numbers. He's got an option for next year at $16 million. At age 29, he's right at the top of the charts in virtually every Mets offensive category for a career.
Yeah, won't turn 30 till almost the end of the year. You know, the interesting thing about David is, you know, what you were talking about before that Chipper Jones alluded to, you know, has a chance to be the first. Now, I know Ed Kranepool played many years here, but he has a chance to be the first really Met player, homegrown, to have an entire career here and own every single record, and he owns most of them already.
Well, you know, he's been a fixture over there to the left side of that infield, anchoring that hot corner, and you know, his defense, to me, that has been the upside. His defense has been solid, the best defense he's played. It's hard to give up a player that plays both sides of the field. I know there's financial considerations. $16 million is a lot of dough, and a little chin music after the home run there.
Interesting.
I just think that David gets worn down mentally. He just needs a little more help in that lineup. Lots just asked of him. I think with Ike's resurgence here in the second half, that's someone that can hit behind him. But another bat in the lineup. And remember, the first half, Gary and Ronnie, we always talked about, and you see today's first baseman. It's a pretty good list right there.
That's on base plus slugging, which is probably the best measure of offensive prowess, second behind Beltre in the major league. Hayward thrown out by Murphy. 1-2-3 inning for Neese, his second of the night. We'll talk more about David Wright when we come back. 1-0. Mets has grounded out and walked 0 for 1. It'll be Davis, Shopik, and Bay for the Mets in the home 6th inning. So we were doing our player evaluation on David Wright, and I cut you off in mid-sentence.
Oh, it's okay, Gary. I just we can maybe show that list of third basemen again. I mean, always third base is always an offensive position. So it's no surprise that there's a lot of pretty terrific players that are on this graphic that we're going to show. Of course, the Cabrera's in the hunt for a batting title over in Detroit. Beltre with Texas is having a terrific year. But let's just focus on David. And, you know, we all know what he's meant as Bobby Parnell up in the bullpen. He's meant everything. He's the leader of this ball club, a very quiet leader, and someone that's got the gravitas that's been here. The only thing lacking in David's resume is a world championship. That's the one thing that's not there.
So this is a question that as we go through this team, I'm probably going to ask you repeatedly. Are the Mets better off re-signing David Wright to a long-term deal, and it'll probably take 6 or 7 years to sign him through, you know, age 35, 36, 37 at big money? Or are the Mets better off, as Davis strikes out for the first out, picking up his option and getting a huge package of players in return from another team?
You know, for other folks, a huge package would be Teixeira deal. When Texas traded him away, they got from Atlanta Elvis Andrus, who became their shortstop, Neftali Feliz, who became their closer, Harrison, who's now entrenched in the rotation, a 15-game winner. They got Salta Lamacchia. I think there was one more, the big Tommy Hunter,
right.
I think the right-hander. The Texas Rangers now have become the team in baseball because of that trade. So those are the ideas you can knock around. And it's a hard sell, and it's a really tough thing to even talk about.
Right.
But it's something you have to talk about.
Well, that's the question, is it's not just trading a player who has a certain value. It would be trading a player who is the face of the franchise. And that would mean basically blowing up what had been a certain way of marketing this ball club and saying we're going to do it a different way.
Well,
and it would take a lot on the part of ownership, management, and everybody involved to even think about doing that.
You know, in Ronnie's trade, he talks about, you know, hindsight is a base hit by Shopik. Hindsight's always 20/20. There's a lot of times those deals. That's the risk you run.
I'm not saying that's not a fact, but you know, Texas had the guts to make that deal, and it changed their entire franchise. Now, a couple things about that. You know, David, of course, you were talking about it. He makes you proud every day with a good citizen he is here. But, you know, the assumption is always on that the Mets, it's on them, you know, are they going to resign David? No, it's on David, too. What if he doesn't want to resign? What if he plays it out and says, you know what, I got one chance at the title going out there for my free agency?
Well, that
can happen.
Here's how I see it in that respect. If the Mets don't feel as though they are going to be able to come to an agreement with David on a new contract before next season, then they've got to think about trading, right?
Yes. And then the other thing you have to evaluate is David's 29, 30. You have to assume he's going to have 4 or 5 years, great years left. But, you know, the thing is that you look at David and you look at the first half where he carried a team. You've looked at some seasons that have been unbelievable, 2006 and others. Is he a guy that if you signed for X amount, is he the guy that can carry a team for a season, a month, 2 months, 3 months? Is he that player? Is he the Pujols kind of guy that you can just ride his coattails and you can have a semi-good team, but he makes them great? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I am not an advocate of a 6-7 year deal to players, particularly. I know there's Chad Durbin up for Atlanta. I'm just not an advocate to that kind of length of contract. I wouldn't go any more than 5.
But there's so many of those contracts out there. If you're David Wright, why would you sign anything less than a 6 or 7 year deal when there are so many teams that are willing to offer that kind of term?
Why would David Wright want Joey Votto's deal?
Right.
10 years, play till he's 40. I'm not saying you're right, but that's the market.
Right.
But look what the Cardinals did with Pujols.
Yeah. Well,
they let him walk, but somebody gave him a 10-year contract.
Yep, I understand. But I'm speaking in terms of the Cardinals let him go.
Right, but this is all part of, I think, what Sandy Alderson's equation has got to be. as Bay hits a grounder to third, and Chipper throws it into right field. Shopik stops at second base. Very conservative base running by Shopik, who represents the tying run with one out. Did not try to go to third.
Well, he should have gone right away here, and it's his decision to make. So he see the throw there. You don't need a third base coach. I guess he doesn't have the confidence in his speed, but he should have been on third base.
So it's an error on Chipper Jones, and the Mets have two men on.
And Chipper made the mistake here of throwing sidearm, almost underhanded, like a submariner to second base.
Justin Turner's going to bat for Jordani Valdespin. Remember, Valdespin was in the game because Andres Torres got hurt back in the second inning. We've now been told that Torres has a bruise to his left knee. And so Valdespin got 2 at-bats against the left-hander, and now Turner being announced as the pinch hitter. Freddie Gonzalez making sure that Turner's been announced. He's got a right-hander up in the bullpen, and he's going to make the pitching change. So the wheels turning here. Braves up 1-0 in the 6th. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. With Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps.
Well, Durbin's an interesting find for the Atlanta Braves. You know, they started the season with Livan Hernandez to eat up some of these outs in the middle of games to save their quality relievers, and Durbin's done a good job so far.
And Durbin started the year in spring training with the Nationals and was released at the end of spring training. By then, didn't make the ball club.
So Luis Avilan up in the bullpen for the Braves. Lucas Duda's come out on deck to bat for Nice. Bobby Parnell getting ready in the Mets bullpen. So Turner bats here with first and second and 1 out. The Mets 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. They've already left 7 runners on base over the first 5 innings. Ball got loose in the outfield, which is why time was just granted.
Well, here's a situation with Turner right now. I would not have the right side of the infield. That would be Uggla at second base, holding the runner closely. And you've got Shopik on second base. He's not going anywhere. Leave him alone. You play your defense. You play back and play your defense.
I think he's already proven he's not going anywhere. And that one in the dirt, stopped by Ross for ball 1.
So you know that Turner likes to go the other way. I do not. I liked where Freeman is playing in the hole, taking that hole away at first base from him between first and second. You can see Freeman right here. He's taking that hole away. I would give a little more. And Ugla like him to just shift over. Come on, 3 more steps to the first base side.
Turner has a base hit in his only career at bat against Durbin, and he's now ahead of the count 2-0.
A base hit by Shopik, a throwing error by Chipper Jones, setting the table for New York. 2-0 coming to Turner, and it's off the corner, and now it's 3-0 with Duda waiting on deck to pinch hit. And Turner takes a strike.
Oh, good pitch to hit. Oh boy, almost threw it away. Good pitch to hit here for Turner. And just base hits, all that's needed.
Durbin's always been a guy who is susceptible to the walks.
Hard cutter, Keith, huh?
Yeah.
Shopik at second, Bay at first with 1 out.
That cutter just kind of took the top of the bat off, splintered the top of the bat, so new lumber for Turner.
He stayed away all 5 pitches in this at bat.
He also throws, Keith, that indoor cutter where he throws it right at the hip of the right-handed hitter and bends it over the inside corner.
Corey Guerin has joined Luis Avilan in the Atlanta bullpen. 3-2, and Turner takes strike 3 called. So Durbin came from 3-0 to strike out Turner for the second out of the inning.
Good call, Ronnie. Look at this. Backdoor slider. And that's more. You can't do it better than that. That is a good pitch.
Now Dudas announced as the pinch hitter, and that'll bring Freddie Gonzalez out of the dugout, and they'll bring in his left-hander to face Lucas. Lots of moves early in these September games with expanded rosters. And so Avilan will come in to face Duda with 2 out and 2 on. 1-0 Atlanta in the 6th. We'll be right back. Line comes on for the Braves.
His last 2 appearances, he's been asked to get 2 outs, all of them by strikeout.
Duda up, 2 out and 2 on. And Lucas takes low inside for ball 1. And with the left-hander coming in the game, Lucas Duda consulting with Dave Hudgens about the scouting report.
Well, all I'd want to know as a hitter is what's the movement on his fastball?
Yeah.
How hard does he throw? What kind of breaking ball does he throw? And if he has a off-speed pitch. And you know what? You've never faced him. You just see the ball and hit it. You got to just go up there and be a tiger.
Shopick at second, Bay at first with 2 out. Duda 0 for 6 as a pinch hitter this year. Batting for John Neese, and it's off the glove of Ross, and that'll move the runners to second and third. So a pass ball charge to David Ross, and now 2 are in scoring position.
Well, they're going to give a pass ball to Ross, as Gary said. But you know what? As a catcher, you're looking for your pitcher to at least throw it in the vicinity of the plate, not in the other batter's box on 2 fastballs. One bounced, and one's 3 feet outside.
This is where you judge your relief pitchers. The first batter they face, you don't come in like they used to with men on base like this situation.
2-0 now to Duda with 2 in scoring position, and he pulls one down to first, and Freeman's got it, and that'll end the inning. So the Braves go to their bullpen early and get a couple of big outs. Still 1-0 after 6. Plays center field for the Mets as we go to the 7th, and Bobby Parnell will pitch in the 7th.
Well, it's been a good second half for Bobby Parnell since he was not the closer. He has gotten into this role and has been pretty comfortable. 16 walks, 52 punch-outs.
SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Slow motion agony for Torres as he bruises his left knee on that awkward tumble and had to come out of the game. Dan Uggla will lead off for the Braves in the 7th. So Atlanta continues to do very little hitting, and yet they've won back-to-back 1-0 games, and they're up 1-0 again today. Parnell struggled in his last outing Monday night against St. Louis. Gave up a couple of hits that produced what turned out to be the difference in the game in a 1-run loss to St. Louis. Uggla hit one to the fence in left center that Valdespin caught his last time up. And he drives this one down the left field line. Extra bases for Uggla. Bass stumbles into the wall as he plays it. And Uggla pulls into second base with a leadoff double.
Well, Uggla has always been a middle in hitter. He is always, he never gets cheated. He wants that ball middle in, and he's always trying to jack it out of the ballpark.
There's Henry Mejia, another September call-up, getting ready in the Mets bullpen. David Ross, the batter, will have a pinch hitter behind him. Would you think about bunting with Ross?
Well, you're struggling for runs. You can certainly do it. Yes, you could certainly do it. Can Ross bunt? I don't think so.
I wouldn't do it. I'd let Ross swing the bat. He's a Met killer.
Nope, he's got a bunt. He's playing. This is we're down the stretch here.
Shopping throwing behind the runner, but he throws it away. Well, they had the runner. Uggla hung out to dry, and Shopping's throw tailed and went beyond the reach of Cedeno, and Uggla winds up at third.
Well, here's a gift right here. You're not sure they're going to bunt. Now he squares around. They got him picked off. Oh, my word. So that's a break for the Bravos.
Huge break. An error on Shopping, so instead of one out and nobody on, it's a runner at third and nobody on. The Mets have to bring the infield in.
A little halfway in the middle infielders, but they're in a position to get the lead out.
Lyle Overbay is out on deck to pinch hit. Veteran left-hand hitter. And Ross lifts one to right field. Tagging at third is Uggla. Getting behind it is Hairston. Uggla tags, heads on home. Hairston's throw will not get there in time. It's a sacrifice fly for David Ross. 2-0 Atlanta. So the costly throwing error by Shopping produces a run.
Well, not a strong throw by Hairston. Doesn't have a very good arm. And this ball just barely gets home, easily scoring for Uggla. And that's a big insurance run with this Atlanta bullpen deep in a ball game. They are lights out.
So now the Braves will switch off. Not an RBI situation, so instead of Overbay, they'll use Jose Constanza, who you remember was the guy who ended Daniel Murphy's season last year on a slide into second base. Josh Edgen gets up alongside Henry Mejia in the Mets bullpen. So Parnell gives up a run, a double, an error, and a sacrifice fly. And so the Braves no longer have an opportunity to do something that they have never done in their long history, and that is win 3 straight 1-0 games.
Well, David's in. You got to take the bunt away with Constanza.
And he bluffs the bunt and takes ball 1 from Parnell. John Neese went 6 innings, allowed 1 run and 5 hits, walked 1, struck out 2, allowed a home run. That's 17 straight starts of 6 innings or more and 2 walks or less for Neese, but he's on the short end today. And so it is gone. Johnny Venter's the left-hander. Peter Moylan, the right-hander, up in the Atlanta bullpen. Nice to see him back. That's for the entertainment value of listening to him talk.
That's right.
Moylan, the Aussie. Michael Bourne waiting on deck. And Constanza down on strikes. Parnell uses the fastball to get him for the second out.
Well, Bobby's throwing hard as usual. I think he's made great gains on his breaking balls, curveball in particular, Ron. And really, this is, if he gets Bourne out, it's going to be an unearned run. Really, the inning should be over.
So 2 out and nobody on for Bourne, who has flied out, walked and singled to right, 1 for 2. Braves 2 runs, 6 hits. The Mets with no runs and 5 hits. Each team has committed 1 error. And Bourne slashes 1 foul.
I think when Bobby looks at this tape after the game tomorrow, whenever you look at it, you'll probably think about pitch selection to Uggla. 2 straight fastballs inside. listen, you can question every pitch, and I'm not questioning the pitches he threw. I just think that Uggla, when he is slumping, there's only one side of the plate that he can hit from, and that's middle of the plate in. He cannot cover away when he's slumping.
Your little flamethrower, 96 miles an hour. 2-1 to Bourne.
You see, Washington has got back into that ball game in the 7th.
3 runs in that 7th inning for Washington. 6-5 Miami. Two and two now to Bourne, who's upset with himself. Shopping setting up inside, and Parnell misses with a breaking ball, and it's 3-2. Don't want to walk Bourne here. Lee's leading base stealer. 2 out and nobody on.
You know, it's interesting, Gary. When Bourne was with Houston, not a very good team, not a lot of power in that lineup. Almost double the steals for Bourne for a season. Here with Atlanta, maybe not as many chances to steal because of the good bats behind him, although they're not hitting right now.
Again, the 3-2, and he lines one to left, and on comes Bay to grab it, and that retires the side. But the Braves pick up an unearned run. 7th inning stretch, 2-0 Atlanta. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Burger King. Come play family food where every game piece has a prize. By Bank of America. And by Buffalo Wild Wings. Tune into Beer Money on SNY, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, your home for wings, beer, sports. Johnny Venture's on to pitch for the Braves as we go to the bottom of the 7th.
Well, 85 appearances last year. He went on the DL this year in July for about 3 weeks with a left elbow impingement. He's really been back to himself since then.
Changes as well for the Braves. Paul Janisch comes in to play shortstop. He'll bat second. As Reed Johnson comes out, Martin Prado goes to left field. Ronnie Cedeno, 4th time around the batting order, takes a strike. Ronnie's been on base twice tonight with a walk and a single to left. He's 1 for 2. Getting in the leadoff spot for just the 3rd time this year, and Janisch gets an early chance and throws out Cedeno by half a stride for the first out. Today, no question in the call by the rookie umpire Manny Gonzalez at first base.
Well, good hustling, and they got him. Half step.
So Giannis just into the game for defense, makes a nice play. Giannis has been playing terrific defense for the Braves. He just hadn't hit enough, which is why they snuck Prado into the lineup today at short. But now with a lead, Freddie Gonzalez quick to get Giannis in there. Murphy hits one over the mound, but Giannis is right there behind the bag and throws him out. So Murphy has been hitting the ball up the middle with regularity, played perfectly that time.
Probably the series that Murphy had against St. Louis with the advanced scout put Giannis in that position.
Well, most importantly for Venters, this man comes up right here with not a chance to tie the ball game.
2 quick outs for Venters on just 3 pitches.
There's a defensive charts, spray charts. Where does he hit it? Off who? Off Venters. Where does it go? Relay the message. Move the fielder.
Wright is 1 for 3 today. David singled to left his last time up. Mets have done well against Venters over the last couple of years. Better than most, anyway. And Venters quickly moves Wright's feet for ball 1.
Boy, he really rushed this one. This was unintentional.
Sure.
Peter Moylan staying busy in the Atlanta bullpen. And Wright takes one the other way, but Hayward is right there, and that retires the side. 5-pitch inning for Johnny Venters. Mets are out 1-2-3. On to the 8th we go, 2-0 Atlanta. The series with the Braves continues. Kids go free with the purchase of regularly priced tickets. Visit Mets.com/kidsfree or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Henry Mejia makes his season debut for the Mets.
Well, you'd like to see Mejia in there, who's had 3 different stops this year in the minor leagues. Those are the numbers in Buffalo as a starter and sometimes reliever. I think you mentioned, Gary, the other day that he'd prefer to start, but getting an inning of work here.
And the plan is to start him later this season. Matt Harvey's going to get 2 more starts. And I guess the plan is once Harvey is taken out of the rotation, Mejia will be put in. Lyle Overbay will bat for the pitcher. Venters was put in the 2-hole, and Giannis was put in the 9 spot, which was not what we were given initially. So Overbay is batting for Venters, who gets 1 quick inning of work. Overbay was with Arizona when the year began. Let go, signed by the Braves as a free agent, and brought up when the rosters expanded on September 1st. So it'll be Overbay, Chipper Jones, and Freddie Freeman to bat against Mejia in the 8th. Well, we saw plenty of Henry 2 years ago as a 20-year-old, working mostly out of the bullpen. Had Tommy John surgery last year that cost him the entire season, and now back.
96 miles an hour. That hasn't changed.
Well, he had a motion, Ronnie, that really he put everything into every pitch, if you recall.
Yep.
Every ounce of energy into every pitch. He looks a little more fluid in his motion here.
I think you're right, Keith. I like the beginning of his windup. It's very relaxed. He takes his foot back in a very relaxed manner and then tries to add that power that only Henry has.
A little change up there. And he gets ahead 1-2.
88-mile-an-hour changeup. Boy, is that great to have. See this motion? Very nice. Hands held high. They meet the knees. And then there's the explosion late.
Ahead on Overbay 1-2. And he gets him on strikes. 96 on the black. That's the first out in the 8th.
It's kind of how Familia started in St. Louis, isn't it? Ball starts in the outside corner, runs. Good job by Shopik framing that pitch.
That would be a Cholula flamethrower.
I knew there was.
You know, the way they're building this bullpen right now with Familia and Mejia and Edgin and Parnell and Carson, we're going to have a lot of Cholula coming down the pike.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's Chipper Jones batting left-handed for the first time today, 0 for 3. And he takes it wide.
I didn't know you were an ad man, Gary. Very good.
We need Cholula in that sponsor. We need him. We need to keep him.
Well, you got plenty of Cholula candidates now being nurtured on this staff. Slow ground ball for Murphy. And he throws out Chipper. 2 away.
So remember.
Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by for this game break. For their 6th straight win tonight, trying to get Steven Strasburg off the hook. Here's Freddie Freeman, who's gone 0 for 3. And Mejia fires one by him. 0-1.
Splitter?
Yeah, I think he throws a splitter, does he?
Oh, no, that's his changeup. It's just a different kind of 3 fingers on top of the ball, and he turns it over.
Well, I've always liked his stuff. And if he throws like this, he's going to be just fine. The idea is going to be, do you start him or do you put him in the bullpen?
Well, he's made it clear what he wants. He wants to be a starter. Slow ground ball. Murphy waits on it. A very easy inning for Henry Mejia. Strikeout and 2 ground balls in his first big league inning of the season. 2-0 Braves in the 8th. now thrown 26 consecutive scoreless innings, and Eric O'Flaherty will try and keep that going.
Well, he's been a big part of that bullpen. Interesting for you folks watching at home. It's always been, well, I shouldn't say always, but the last couple of years it's been O'Flaherty then Venters. It's Venters and O'Flaherty now, because O'Flaherty hasn't given up a run since mid-July.
Well, left-handers hitting only 100 against O'Flaherty. Right-handers almost 340.
Hairston, Davis, and Shopik up against him in the 8th. Mets have had plenty of chances tonight. They've left 9 runners on base through the first 7 innings. Hairston is 0 for 3, lined out to short, flied out to center, and grounded into a fielder's choice. And O'Flaherty misses high for ball 1. O'Flaherty, the 5th Atlanta pitcher of the night. Paul Maholm went the first 5 1/3, allowed no runs and 5 hits. Chad Durbin and Luis Avilan each got an out. Johnny Venters worked a 1-2-3 7th. Frank Francisco up in the Mets bullpen. And Hairston takes a rip. A ball and a strike. We had mentioned earlier that the Braves now have lost out on their chance of winning 3 straight 1-0 games, which they'd never done before. What I didn't tell you, which I didn't know until a moment ago, and Bob Waterman emailed me from Elias, is that the last time a major league team won 3 straight 1-0 games, the 1917 St. Louis Cardinals.
Wow.
95 years since the team won 3 straight 1-0 games. In fact, their 17 Cardinals were one of only 2 teams in Major League history ever to do it. The 1909 White Sox won 3 straight 1-0 games. So even back in the dead ball era, it was uncommon. Hairston out on strikes. Ross makes the toss. 2-3 put out. And that's the first down in the bottom of the 8th.
Bob is not here tonight?
Oh, he's here.
Oh, he emailed you. He texted you here?
He can email all the way from the press box to our broadcast.
I'm glad to hear that. I was hoping I was worried he might be ill again.
Oh, no. He's okay. Oh. He bounces back faster than anybody I know. Here's Ike Davis. I go for 2 and a walk tonight. Check out our Cadillac drive around the majors for tonight. Strasburg went just 3 innings tonight. The Nats down a run as they play in the 8th inning. Evan Longoria homered. Michael Young tied it. Rays and Rangers tied up as they go to the 9th. And the Yankees built a 7-0 lead, but home runs by Adam Jones and Robert Andino have cut it to 7-4 Yankees as they go to the 9th in Baltimore.
You know, we had that list of third baseman's comparable with David Wright. Because he's been injured, we left off Longoria, but he belongs on any list you talk about elite third basemen in baseball.
And then the other piece, which of course isn't included in OPS, is the fielding aspect of it. And right now, nobody's had a better fielding year than David Wright. I don't know if he's going to win the Gold Glove this year, but he sure deserves to.
I'm in your camp.
Beltray in the American League, hands down.
He can hit home runs on his knee, and he can throw from his knee.
He can throw backing up. It's like moonwalking and throwing.
Just off the plate from O'Flaherty, 2-2 to Davis with Kelly Shopik on deck. And Ike works the count full. Ike's walk rate has gone way up the last month or so. Early in the season, he was chasing a lot of bad pitches. Now able to lay off a lot of those same pitches.
Well, it stands to reason when he started being a little more selective and not fishing after the bad breaking stuff in the dirt. Of course, he's going to. It takes a while to get around the league, and of course, he's going to be hitting a lot. 1-0, 2-0.
3-2, and he fouls it off. In fact, Ike's on base percentage is up to 299, which is about as high as it's been all year. If he gets on base in this at bat, he'll get to 300 for the first time all season.
When I look at Ike, I just throw away the first 2 months. He finishes strong. He has a good September. It's been a win-win.
Now there's ball 4, so Davis is on for the second time tonight, and the Mets will get the tying run to the plate with Shopik. No action in the Braves bullpen. This is O'Flaherty's inning, so he'll stay in to face the right-hand hitters. The Mets and the Giants have thrown the most shutouts in the National League this year. They each have 12. The Braves are one behind with 11 and seeking their 12th tonight. Shopping trying to break that up. Kelly's hit 3 home runs in just 39 at bats as a Met. Facing O'Flaherty with a man on, and he fouls off the first pitch, 0-1. Jason Bay waiting on deck. And Shopping takes off the plate. A ball and a strike. Eric O'Flaherty, who began his career with Seattle, often overlooked when they talk about this Braves bullpen with all the focus on Kimbrel and Venters, but he was as effective as anybody in baseball last year and again this year. Little dribbler foul. O'Flaherty had some rough spots early, but since May he has been completely a shutdown reliever as Peter Moylan gets up again. You don't want to get to the 9th behind in the game though, because then the task just becomes impossible. The way Kimbrel has thrown this year.
Well, not impossible, but very, very difficult. Close.
Well, unless you have Eric Kratz.
Right, exactly.
Kratz hit that tying home run against Kimbrel.
Kimbrel is as good as it gets.
Well, he's having an historic year. Here's the 1-2, and Shopping takes one at his feet. 2-2. Kimbrel's averaged 16.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, which would be a record. But it's only barely the best in the league because Aroldis Chapman has struck out 16 every 9 innings.
Well, coming off a 4-out save last night, didn't he? 4 strikeouts, 21 hits, and 51 in the 3rd innings.
You think they'd hold him out tonight after that 4-out save? Here's the 2-2, and Shopping pops it up. Hayward coming into shallow right field to call. And puts it away for the 2nd out. Let's check in with the studio with Gary Apple to see what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight, going to hear from Reggie Miller, the Nick Killer inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Rex Ryan says no more guarantees. What's it all about? See it tonight, guys.
You know, they never gave the money back after the previous guarantees, so what's the point?
Exactly. I misspoke on Kimbrel. That was 2 saves ago. He got that. He's pitched back-to-back days.
Here's Jason Bay tying run at the plate with 2 out. Don Roush, Frank Francisco, both up in the Mets bullpen. Bay has walked and reached on an error, 0 for 2 tonight. And Jason takes inside, 2-0. Fred Lewis is hitting in the 8th spot in the batting order, and he's out on deck.
Great time for Jason to pop one here. 2-0, we got to get a fastball away, right?
Like that. Bay is 2 for 4 against O'Flaherty, and he takes that one on the corner for a strike, and it's 2-2.
Well, heading the count and 2 straight fastballs. I don't think he picked the ball up out of the hand there, but 2-0, he was looking for a breakable, I'm presuming.
2-2 from O'Flaherty, and that's off the corner, now at full count. So that'll put Davis in motion with 3-2 and 2 out. Freeman will play behind Ike.
Get a slider now, 3-2 after 3 consecutive fastballs.
3-2 to Bay, and he goes down swinging on the slider, and that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. 2 strikeouts in the inning for O'Flaherty. 2-0 Braves going to the 9th.
They got the magic.
You do.
Mejia going too.
Davey.
What?
I'm sorry, Davey.
Well, it just doesn't.
His first big league inning of the season will work the ninth as well. The Nats, who were down big early, just tied up the Marlins 6-6 in the eighth on a Michael Morse home run. They're having quite a season, aren't they?
Wow.
Martin Prado will lead off in the ninth inning. Prado, who began the game at shortstop, now playing left field. He's gone 0 for 3, 3 fly ball outs. Braves 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. The Mets no runs, 5 hits, and 1 error.
We see a breaking ball from Mr. Mejia this inning. We've seen fastball change so far.
Those are all left-hand hitters up in the eighth inning. And first pitch fastball in for a strike.
There's your breaking ball.
That was nasty.
Hammer.
This kid has got some great stuff. Look at this.
Got that natural cut on his fastball. We've seen the 90-mile-an-hour changeup. Now the good breaking ball. Well, we saw signs with Mejia a couple of years ago when he came to the big leagues as Craig Kimbrell starts to get ready in the Atlanta bullpen. But it was an awkward situation that he was put into. He was 20 years old. He was brought to the big leagues because the Mets needed a power arm in the bullpen. But then he was used very erratically early in the season. And his results were just as erratic as his use. Here's the 1-2. And 97-mile-an-hour fastball is fouled away. Well, Prado first time up today. It went out to right center. Our Home Depot doing more on defense. Nice catch, but a catch that knocked Andres Torres out of the game with a bruised left knee.
Just a bit of an awkward spill here, boy, and he just took up some turf and bruised up some knee.
Popped up shallow right, and Murphy goes out to call. And Prado retired, 1 away. You know, a month ago, you looked at this Mets team, looked toward next season, and said to yourself, they're going to have to completely remake this bullpen. But now you see what's happened this last month with Edgin and Carson and Familia and Mejia, and you say, well, there's some potential here for the Mets to have a very different looking power-packed bullpen next year.
It's going to be an open season for the bullpen spots. A lot of spots are going to be competing, be competitive.
Well, I think that's true as far as the starting pitching is concerned as well. You're going to have a lot more candidates for starting roles than you had going into spring training this year.
Competition's a good thing.
Two and out to Jason Hayward.
See what happens here. This is a good way to evaluate. 2-0 fastball count.
Fly ball left center. Bay and Lewis stare at each other, and Bay comes over to make the catch, 2 outs. So he threw him a 2-0 fastball and got the pop up.
It's a good thing to see, right? Jonathan Neese threw that fastball up in the strike zone. He hit a home run off it. Fastball count. Hayward knows it's coming. Mejia knows he has to throw it. It still beats him.
So Mejia's faced 5, retired all 5. Here's Dan Uggla, who doubled and scored the second Atlanta run in the 7th. Well, the Yankees have regained first place. They beat Baltimore tonight 8-5. And now Tampa Bay needs to win to stay 2 games behind. They are 1-1 in the bottom of the 9th in St. Pete against Texas. Here's a strike with a breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
There's a little 12-6 breaking ball right there. Right over the top.
Uggla pulled the ripcord.
We used to call it a drop when we were a kid. Kids.
Another breaking ball. This one's hit deep to left. Back goes Bay onto the track, right back at the wall, and it's out of here. One curveball too many to Dan Uggla, his 18th home run of the year, and it's 3-0 Atlanta.
Well, that's the difference between this league and the leagues below, is that make a hitter look like a fool on one pitch, and it was almost like, if I see that again, I'm going to make up for it. I don't like looking like a fool.
Well, I don't question the pitch. He just hung it. Yeah. He hung it. There it is, right there in the tee. Uggla's so strong.
Uggla had the reaction. You see when he came across on plate, like, I don't know how that happened, but it did. Having a laugh about it.
Well, it's been a very rough half a season for Dan Uggla, but he has a double and a home run his last 2 at bats. Ross lifts one down the right field line, and Hairston over near that sidewall as it goes out of play.
Shaking his head. I don't know how that happened.
Well, it's a hanger inside where it crowds you, and you just never give yourself enough credit of how quick your hands are. And you saw Uggla kind of lean back and get his hands through, and just trust the quickness of your hands.
Ross is 0 for 2, delivered a sacrifice fly in the 7th to bring home the 2nd Atlanta run, and he hits this one in the air in a pretty deep right field, but playable for Hairston. And Scott uses 2 hands to grab it to end the inning, but Uggla's home run stretches the Atlanta lead. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Kimbrel coming in to try and get the save. 3-0 Braves. A better second year than his first.
Yeah, 46 saves last year. Unbelievable. 34 out of 37, 71 punch outs. And he was in the All-Star game. It took him 7 pitches in that outing to record 2 strikeouts.
Fred Lewis, first man up against him in the 9th. Lewis's second at bat as a Met. He grounded out as a pinch hitter on Tuesday night in St. Louis. Lewis, former Giant, Blue Jay, and Red. Signed by the Mets as a 6-year free agent and getting a reward for a nice season in Buffalo. And the left-hand batter takes outside for ball 1.
Well, this young man, you can see, can just flat bring it. It's just get set in the box, get a little more crouch, and get ready to dial it up a notch.
Mike Baxter on deck to pinch hit, and then Ronnie Cedeno for the Mets in the bottom of the 9th. 10th inning now in St. Pete. Yankees have beaten the Orioles already tonight. 2-1 now to Lewis. Braves using their 6th pitcher of the night. Kimbrel trying to save it for Paul Maholm. The Braves staff has now gone 27 consecutive scoreless innings, trying for their 3rd straight shutout. And Lewis late on the fastball, 2-2.
Very unique where Kimbrel takes that sign. It almost looked like he's in attack mode.
It's always these hard throwers too, Ronnie, when you got to make them get the ball down. When they throw upstairs, they get a little extra giddy up on it. And of course, that is easier said than done.
Yeah.
They're the leaders in strikeouts per 9 innings. Kimbrel at 16.5. Closing in on 2 strikeouts per inning. Just amazing. 2-2. And the breaking ball sits high and a full count to Lewis. Almost like he's toying with it.
No, he's not going to toy with him here.
I don't think he's toying with him. I think he wants to put him away. They want to get a W here.
Tim Hudson, Tommy Hanson looking on. Hanson will pitch the Sunday game against the Mets. 3-2 coming to Lewis, and he walked him. And the Mets have life in the 9th inning. 5th walk by the Braves staff tonight. Our next broadcast on SNY will be Sunday afternoon, the final game of this series. Chris Young will go for the Mets. The aforementioned Tommy Hanson for the Braves. 12:30 our coverage Sunday right here on SNY. There's Mike Baxter. Mets need one more base runner to get the tying run to bat. Baxter's had a tremendous year pinch hitting this year. And he takes a breaking ball strike. Ronnie Cedeno on deck. Baxter 10 for 20 as a pinch hitter this year. And Baxter drives one deep down the right field line toward the corner. It's a foul ball. Just barely missed an extra base hit. Turning on one from Kimbrel.
How could you turn on a fastball that's 96 miles an hour? Mike just did it. Wow.
Struck that side wall down to the right field corner.
Too quick. It's got to be one of those where you just decide I'm swinging here before he releases it. Just a little quick by Mike.
Kimbrel ahead of him 0-2. Lewis at first and nobody out. And Baxter takes the slider just off the plate, 1-2. Lewis was with excellent speed, but taking no chances here, down by 3 runs. And Baxter foul tips it. Ross hangs on. That's the first down of the inning.
He kind of reached back and fired that one, a little something extra on it. And this is knee high and rising.
3rd day in a row for Kimbrel. Still down it up to 98.
That was a Cholula. Boy. A flamethrower.
Just pops the iconic wooden cap off the box.
1 out and 1 on. Here's Ronnie Cedeno. 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. And the slider. 0-1. I don't think we've seen Kimbrel throw this many breaking pitches before.
And I was thinking maybe it is because it's the 3rd day in a row. Maybe it doesn't feel like he has that good fastball, but he does.
Looked okay from here.
Well, you do know one thing: the hitters are going to be dialed up for his fastball, particularly first pitch.
Daniel Murphy on deck. Cedeno fouls it back, and quickly it's 0-2.
Well, the one thing you notice about Kimbrel, though, is the talent, of course, is that he's got that great arm. But you do not see him throw a lot of fastballs in the middle of the plate. They're down, they're on the corners, they're cutting, they're sinking.
Oh, 2 to Cedeno, and he goes down on strikes. 97 up in the zone. Back-to-back strikeouts for Kimbrel, and the Mets are down to their last out.
I know he doesn't throw the same guys, but he's built the same. He's like a right-handed Billy Wagner when I watch him pitch.
Well, he gives Billy a lot of credit for his development, as do so many of the Braves pitchers who are around him. So now the Mets are down to their last out, and here's Murphy, who's 1 for 4, singled back in the first inning, and Daniel hits a ground ball right at the shortstop. Giannis makes the throw to first, and the ball game is over. The Braves have their 3rd straight shutout as they take the opening game of the series, the 8th straight home series in which the Mets have lost the opener, as they fall to Paul Maholm, Craig Kimbrell, and the Braves 3-0.
Well, as the Braves go through this September, after answering all those questions about the collapse last season, I don't know if they've turned it up a notch, but they've been able to win these close games that eluded them last year and eluded Freddie Gonzalez last year, and a tough loss for Jonathan Neese.
Well, Neese pitched a fine ball game. Mets were out hit 7-5. Neese, a tough loss there for him, but 2 home runs. Hayward, his 25th, and Ugley, his 18th, both solo.
For Neese, his 17th straight start of 6 innings or more, 2 walks or less, but not enough tonight as you look at the Time Warner Cable game summary. Braves win at 3-0. More from Citi Field coming up in a moment.